Hi everybody, in this video we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. So we've already learned how to solve a quadratic function using the graph. Now you're going to learn two more ways to do it. So you're going to learn the quadratic formula and you're going to learn completing the square. So quadratic formula is what we're doing in this video, and completing the square is what we have done in another video. All right, so like we did in the previous video on discriminant, we are going to identify what A, B, and C are to go ahead and get started with this problem. So just to recap, our job is to solve the quadratic function, meaning we're going to find where it is equal to 0. Okay, that's what we're looking for. That's what we mean by solve the quadratic equation. We're going to find where it is equal to 0 in this situation. Find where it is equal to 0. Now, here's another thing I need you to know. In order to do the quadratic formula, you must be in standard form. You must be in standard form. Must. Okay? You cannot do this without being in standard form. So you're going to have to finagle your equation to make sure that A, B, and C are on the same side of the equal sign. So, and where let me be very specific, find where the equation equals 0. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What's A, what's B, what's C? A is my quadratic term, which is 4, the coefficient of my quadratic term. B is the coefficient of my linear term, which is 1. Remember, there's no number there, so when there's no number there, it's understood to be 1. And C is my constant term, which is -10. This particular problem has asked me to be exact. My solution has to be exact. That means I'm going to have to work this out so that I have the radical. I cannot put a decimal in here. So no decimal for this answer. Which means Desmos can be in help, but it's not going to be my very, very best friend. Give me the answer. So let's go ahead and set this up. X is equal to -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to actually just put parentheses in my location of everything that I need to plug in. So that's -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. We need to talk about that plus or minus. So let's talk about that plus or minus all over 2a. That plus or minus right there simply means I am going to be adding, and I'm also going to be subtracting. That's how we get the two solutions, y'all. That is how we get the two solutions, because you add and you subtract, okay? So now let's go ahead and plug the numbers in. B is 1, so everywhere I have a B, I'm going to put the number 1. A is 4, so everywhere I have an A, I'm going to put the number 4. And C is -10, so everywhere I have a C, I'm going to put the number -10. So like I said, Desmos can be helpful, but it cannot be my very best friend and work out the problem for me. So I'm going to have to actually work this out by hand, right? And so I'm going to have to add and I'm going to have to subtract. So let's go ahead and work this out. Let's go ahead and do what's under the radical first, the b squared minus 4ac. So we have 1 squared, right, minus 4 times 4 times -10. Okay, that's going to be equal to 1. 1 squared is 1. Minus 4 times -10, that's a positive 160. So 1 plus 160 is 161. Okay, so my first expression is going to be x is equal to -1 plus the square root of 161 over 2 times 4, which is 8. My second expression is going to be, remember, the first time we're going to add, the second time we're going to subtract. X is equal to -1 minus the square root of 161 over 8. Now, what we got to check for is there a perfect square in 161? So let's pause here and go figure it out. All right, so here it is, 161. I worked it out over here. And I went ahead and tried to figure out what numbers go into 161. So I don't know if you guys learned your divisibility rules. So I went through my numbers to check to see if any of the numbers would go through. If it's not divisible by 2, it's not divisible by 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, or 9. So my only number that I need to check was 7. And when I divided by 7, I got 23. And 7 and 23 doesn't have any perfect squares in there. Therefore, this is my answer. I cannot simplify this any further. And so how do I write this answer in here? I simply have to follow this rule right here that it gives me. So the first one, I'm going to type in -1 plus SQRT, right? Parenthesis 161, close parenthesis, right? Over 8. So division 8. And then the second one, we're going to type in -1 minus SQRT 161, close parenthesis, over 8. And that's how you find the solution using the quadratic formula. Reach out if you have any more questions.